What's up guys, this is Zach with Top Deck Nation, and today we're going to be looking at the first place list from the Fort Wayne Regionals this past weekend, which was piloted by Michael Pramawat, and that is going to be Night March featuring Marshadow. So this regional championship was pretty interesting because it was the first big event of the season. So we have started the brand new season, the 2017 through 2018 format, and in expanded, nothing really changes. It's still black and white on, so black and white through Burning Shadows. There was a quarterly ban update, so I think Forests of Giant Plants and Archeops were both banned to kind of balance out the game, but overall nothing's really changed. But this is, I believe, the first regionals that actually featured both Guardians Rising and Burning Shadows. So we didn't really have many expanded events that featured Guardians Rising. So it's pretty interesting that we are seeing this kind of format emerge. So Michael Pramawat was able to take this deck to a first place finish out of a whopping 800 plus competitors. That's practically like a US Nationals as of a couple years ago. Obviously the attendance has grown a little bit since then, but I think there were like 9 Swiss rounds and like 6 day 2 rounds. I mean, really ridiculous. But you know, big congratulations to him. We are going to go over this Night March list as I ramble here, but yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it here. So the main strategy of the Night March deck, you have a bunch of these Pokemon that have this attack called Night March. They do 20 damage times the number of Pokemon in your discard that have the Night March attack. So this deck's actually gotten progressively better. As you can see, it's only playing 4 DCE. Dimension Valley because Pumpkaboo and Joltik can take advantage of it, but it's gained a lot of things since it first came out. So we've gained things like Special Charge to recover those energy back, Puzzle of Time to recover pretty much anything back, and now we're getting secondary attackers like Marshadow. So yeah, our main attackers here, we have Joltik and Pumpkaboo. Obviously Lampent is a stage 1, so we can't really take advantage of it, and it needs a Psychic and a DCE, so it doesn't really go with the theme of the deck of just attaching a single DCE and getting that knockout. But Pumpkaboo is you know, one of the main attackers here, 60 HP, not all that great, and then Night March for 3 energy, but Dimension Valley means it's going to be attacking for 2. We also have Joltik. It does the same attack, but only has 30 HP. So you might be wondering, you know, why would anybody play this deck if they're going to get knocked out really quickly? The biggest reason is the prize exchange. I mean, Joltik and Pumpkaboo, they're single prize attackers. They're not EXs or GXs, but they're taking big knockouts. If you can get 7 or 8 Night Marchers in the discard, and that's actually pretty easy with the help of things like Battle Compressor, Professor Juniper, Computer Search, anything that can really get those guys in the discard, you can hit for big knockouts. You can hit for 180, 200 damage really easily. And the great thing about this list with Burning Shadows, we actually gained another main attacker, and that's going to be Marshadow-GX. So Marshadow has this really cool ability called Shadow Hunt. This Pokemon can use the attacks of any basic Pokemon in your discard. So basically, as you can see here, there are a number of options we can use with that ability. We can use Joltik's attack, we can use Pumpkaboo's attack, Tapu Lele if you are just kind of feeling the need to energy drive. We have Sky Return just in case maybe it's about to get knocked out. We even have Tauros. Tauros is in here mainly for that Mad Bull GX attack. So the other attacks, not really too worried about those. Horn attack isn't bad, but Mad Bull GX is why Michael decided to play it. You can battle compress the Tauros, attach a DCE to Marshadow, and if Marshadow is a little bit damaged or something, you can quickly take that one-hit knockout. So that's really clever. It's really good against anything that's just really big and bulky. Maybe Marshadow survived an attack and you can just get that really quick knockout. But that is going to cover the main attackers of the deck here. We're also playing an Oranguru. It's a really interesting choice here, and I guess the main thought behind this is that you're pretty much end-proofed. So late game Night March normally struggles because if they end you down to like 1 or 2 cards, if you don't have the DCE or the Night March or something, unfortunately you pretty much lose. And so Oranguru kind of gets around that. You can then your hand down, maybe you're into 1, you play that card, instruct for 3, and chances are you're going to get something because we're playing a lot of consistency cards, whether it be VS Seeker or just a lot of supporter cards or something. So Oranguru is a really clever idea, and it definitely took him all the way to the finish. So yeah, I mean, I think Oranguru is a really good way to go with this deck going forward. And finally, Michael also played 3 Shaymin. Shaymin is pretty standard in this deck. Tapu Lele was added, of course, just because it's a nice alternate attacker, and that ability is just so strong. Much better than Jirachi EX, because Jirachi's a bit of a liability. But 3 Shaymin is pretty standard in here because you need to use that setup ability. The whole point is to outspeed your opponent. If you can't outspeed your opponent, you're probably going to lose, because otherwise you just have a bunch of these 30 and 60 HP attackers. So Shaymin is really good, and if they decide to Guzma or Lysandre it up, not a big deal, because that means they didn't attack your Night Marcher for the turn, and more than likely you'll be able to get that knockout. So in the supporter department, he is playing a lot of supporters, but as you might notice here, most of these guys are like one-of cards. They're not even like 2 in, 3 in, 4 Professor Juniper, and that's mainly because 1, you can just kind of battle compress them in the discard really quickly, so you can use them with VS Seeker, and 2, we're also playing Puzzle of Time. So at any point, if you have to get those supporters back or you need a certain card, you can always Puzzle of Time to get them back as well. So this is a really fast deck. We had to cut corners, of course, to add things like Trainers Mail, Battle Compressor, so that's why Michael is probably playing a very thin count of supporters here. But Professor Juniper and N, they're kind of your main form of draw support, as I always say. Pokemon Ranger, I actually watched his deck profile. He did one on Facebook, and he said Pokemon Ranger was mainly there for the Seismitoad matchup, but oddly enough, it also helped against Turtonator, because Turtonator does have that Shell Trap attack. I think it does 20, and then if you attack the Turtonator, you take 60. And so you might be in that situation where you can't knock out Turtonator, and if you try to hit it, you get knocked out. So really interesting that he kind of got around that. We're also playing 1 Lysandre and 1 Guzma. Guzma is great because it replaces AZ in here. Normally, if you get stuck, you have something stuck in the active, you have to use AZ and kind of waste a supporter. But Guzma is a great alternative there, but sometimes you don't really need to. Sometimes you just want to Lysandre something up, take the knockout. And I think the deck was already playing a couple Lysandre anyway, so yeah, I mean, nothing really changes here, but Guzma is a great addition. And he's also playing a copy of Hex Maniac. Of course, Hex Maniac is fantastic for a number of matchups like Greninja, Volcanion, Metagross, Gardevoir. You know, a lot of those decks are still big and expanded, so pretty standard there. But keep in mind, if you are going to be playing Hex Maniac, you are going to have to be attacking with Joltik or Pumpkaboo, just because it would shut off your Marshadow, and you don't really want that to happen. And finally, he's playing a copy of Ghetsis, and I believe in his deck profile, he mentioned that Ghetsis is probably the best supporter to play on your first turn. And in expanded, you know, I would definitely agree with that. It's a very item reliant format. People are trying to play Trainers Mills, Battle Compressors, anything you name it. So Ghetsis is really strong, to the point where if they kind of lack anything, if they don't have a supporter in their hand, you might just kind of win the game the following turn. So really strong there. And finally, a copy of Teammates. I love Teammates in this deck because your Joltik and Pumpkaboos are going to get knocked out really quick, and that's going to let you search for any 2 cards in your deck. So it has to happen if your Pokemon is knocked out, so you can't just play it down, but searching your deck for any 2 cards, if you just kind of need a DCE and maybe a Choice Band, maybe you're just lacking a few guys in the discard, you can just play Battle Compressor. So Teammates is really, really strong in here. And of course, Dimension Valley is going to be our stadium of choice here. It's going to help Pumpkaboo attack for a DCE. It's also good just to kind of counter other stadiums, like if they're playing Silent Lab or something to shut you off, or Perilous City. Really good to have a counter stadium here. But as for the items, we are playing a bunch of items. It makes it really, really consistent. We're playing 4 Ultra Ball just to kind of search out our Pokemon, discard our Night Marchers, 4 VS Seeker just to make sure we can reuse all of those one-of supporters, Trainers Mail just because we are playing a lot of trainers. We're playing 37 trainers, so almost 2/3 of the deck is trainer cards. So being able to kind of burn your deck, burn through your deck and use Trainers Mail to get what you need is really important. Special Charge is going to be getting back those DCE just because we're only playing 4 energy, and that's why we're able to play so many Pokemon, so many trainers. The deck is just really energy efficient. We just attach and we attack and we take those knockouts. And again, we're playing 4 Puzzle of Time because it's going to let you reuse a lot of cards in your discard. A lot of people don't really know about the first effect, but if you play 1 Puzzle of Time down, you can actually look at the top 3 cards of your deck and rearrange them. So there might be an instance where you're thinking about using Sycamore, but you don't really want to. to because you don't know what you're going to draw, or maybe you're looking at a Oranguru, maybe you want to instruct, but you don't really know what's on top of the deck. So a lot of different scenarios where Puzzle of Time is pretty good. We're playing a copy of Field Blower, and I really like this over something like Xerosic or Megaphone because Field Blower has that dual benefit of knocking off stadiums as well. So again, that kind of gives you another out if they're trying to play Silent Lab or Verbank City Gym or Parallel City, anything that's gonna really kind of disrupt your strategy. He's also playing Computer Search for his A-Spec choice, and I will have a video up this week that kind of talks about which A-Spec you should play, which one's kind of the best and expanded, because I know that the A-Specs have gotten really expensive. Computer Search is upwards of like $50 to $60 now, and that is ridiculous. I think last season Computer Search was maybe like $20. Dowsing Machine was like 10. Life Do and Scramble Switch, they weren't even like on the radar. They're like $2 or $3, but even those are like $20-30 now. So kind of ridiculous, but I will have a video up to kind of help you guys out if you are new to the expanded format. But Computer Search is great just because it adds another level of consistency. And Michael said in the deck profile, he wants to make sure that every game is exactly the same. He wants every game to turn out the same as far as consistency goes, as far as explosive turns, and Computer Search is probably going to be your best A-Spec in that regard. And then finally, I think I've covered all the items except for, a couple here. So Battle Compressor, this is your way to get Night Marchers in the discard. If you can't play Battle Compressor, you're in a lot of trouble because otherwise you have to rely on Computer Search, Professor Juniper, Ultra Ball, and that's not fast enough. We need to make sure we're getting our supporters in the discard, our Night Marchers, and then suddenly we can hit for big damage. Then finally, he's playing Choice Band and Float Stone. Choice Band is great in a lot of situations because you might be just 20 or 30 damage short. So if we can get that Choice Band out there through Puzzle of Time or Computer Search or something, or Trainers Mail, Choice Band is going to let you kind of hit that magic math. So really important in a lot of cases if your Night Marchers do get prized. And then Float Stone is just great just in case you need to use Guzma or something's trapped in the active. And then concluding the list, we're playing 4 DCE. As I mentioned, there's not really a need to play anything else because all of your guys in the deck can take advantage of DCE, except for a Oranguru, I guess, but we're not really going to be attacking with him. That instructability is why he's there. So that should pretty much wrap up the deck list, guys. It's a really interesting list. It's a very consistent list. Obviously, Michael put a lot of thought into it and probably tested it quite a bit. But yeah, let's jump into a game I played on PTCGO so you can see the deck in action. Okay guys, so we are going to go ahead and get started with this match featuring Night March. Looks like our opponent is going to be playing a Turbo Darkrai deck, so that should be an interesting matchup. And lucky for us, we are going to be starting with the Marshadow-GX, so that means we'll be able to hit those Darkrai's for weakness, and hopefully it'll be a quick game. The downside is that Turbo Dark can normally get a ton of energy on the board in a really short amount of time, so they might be able to easily knock out the Marshadow. I think with 6 Dark Energy and a Choice Band, the Dark Pulse Darkrai can take a knockout. So we'll have to see what happens here. And keep in mind the Darkrai GX can also hit you for 3 energy and a Choice Band, or that GX attack with a laser. So we'll have to see what happens, but here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and Professor Juniper, and we do have a DCE on the Marshadow, so we're already pretty much set up. We have plenty of Night Marchers in the discard here, so I think we're already good to take a knockout, but we are going first, which means we can't really attack. So I'll Trainers Mail for the Ultra Ball. There's not really much I want to get rid of here because if he does knock out Marshadow, I want to promote the Shaymin, put a Float Stone on it, and probably use Teammates for a DCE and maybe like another attacker or a couple of Puzzle of Time to get back to Marshadow and DCE. So I'm going to hold on to that and be really conservative. So he's going to Battle Compressor, get some stuff in the discard. And this is one of my favorite decks in Expanded. Turbo Dark is just fantastic. We did a PTCGO live battle video just a week ago, I think. So check that out if you want to see it in action. And if you guys want to see a deck profile of it, let me know in the comments as well. So he's going to go ahead and use Hoopa. And Hoopa is very, very good in Expanded because it has that Scoundrel Ring ability. Expanded is a very EX heavy format versus a GX heavy format. So in this deck in particular, we're not really playing GXs besides Darkrai, GX, and we can always Battle Compressor it out. So Hoopa can get the Dark Pulse Darkrai, it can get the Darkrai that gives you free retreat, and of course it can get you Shaymin. So we're going to see what he does here. I don't think he has any energy on board yet. There's a Max Elixir. So first energy is going to drop Dark Patch, second energy is going to come on the board, and there's just so many ways you can attach energy here. You can use Darkrai GX's ability, Restoration, you can Dark Patch, attach return, Max Elixir. I mean, it's kind of never ending. So he's going to Chorus for 6, and I'm really curious if he has the knockout here. He's going to Battle Compressor. If he doesn't have the knockout, I think we can knock him out because I think we have plenty of Night Marchers in the discard. I think all we need is like 4 and a Choice Band, which we have. So I think we should be good to go. But I do want to get another attacker on the bench with an energy just in case he plays an N, just in case he knocks me out on the following turn. So I'm going to have to see what he does here. Is he going to pass? Is he played his supporters down? I'm not really sure what his play is going to be here. I don't see any Evil Talls on the bench, so I'm not even sure if he plays it. But there we go. There is a Darkrai with 3 energy on it. Can he use the Hypnotoxic Laser for the GX attack? And it looks like he whiffs it. He also doesn't have a Choice Band, so that is really unfortunate for him, or for her, I should say. But I am going to be taking a knockout this turn, so I can't use Teammates quite yet. I might just kind of Ultra Ball it away or something. But I need to kind of thin out my hand so I can search out for a Joltik or something. One of my Dimension Valleys are already gone, so my preferred attacker in this case is probably going to be Joltik. And adding to that fact is of course that Pumpkaboo Darkrai is resistant to Psychic, so not really the best choice of attacker there. So I'm probably going to go ahead and use Special Charge, put that DCE back in the deck, so hopefully I can draw into it, and then I can go ahead and end for a fresh 6 cards. So I get a really good hand here, actually. I've got Tapu Lele, so I can use a supporter the following turn. I can Battle Compress some more Night Marchers. Lots of options here. And I think I will go ahead and Battle Compress a couple more cards. And this really just gives you a massive card advantage in my opinion, because on the first turn of the game, you can go through like 20, 25 cards in your deck, and your opponent really can't do that. They have Shaymins and stuff, but they really can't do that. And as you can see here, there's that ability. There were so many options we could do. We could Sky Return, we could Night March, we could do some other stuff. So pretty cool that those options are there, and I am able to get a knockout with Night March. I think it did like 240 damage, so that is crazy. Unfortunately, this Marshadow is probably going to go down. I'm guessing he can get 1 energy on the board, but I do have Joltik ready to go. And with Joltik, I think I need 8 Night Marchers and the Choice Band, which I have. So I think I've only got like 6 Night Marchers in the discard right now, so I will have to get 2 more, but I don't think that'll be a problem. I can always Battle Compress a couple more. I think I've got 2 Joltik and a Pumpkaboo in the deck still, so unfortunately I think a couple of my Night Marchers were prized. So we'll have to see what happens. He's going to VS Seeker maybe for N or something, kind of do something, but oh, he's gonna get Chorus, so maybe he doesn't have N in his discard, but that would have been good to kind of disrupt my hand. So he's gonna Chorus, and he's gonna Chorus for a lot. It looks like 9 cards here, and with Skyfield, keep in mind, if both benches are full, he can actually Chorus for 16 cards, which is just stupid. That's over 1/4 of your deck. So let's see what he does here. We see another Ultra Ball. What is he gonna get off that Ultra Ball? Looks like he's going to whiff it, but he's going to Dark Pulse for the knockout, so we are tied up again. I'm going to bring up Shaymin just because it has a Float Stone. Always bring up the free retreater just because it saves time. You don't really have to think about it or anything. So we're going to see what happens. We have the Battle Compressor. I think we top decked it. Yeah, I think I'm just going to put both Pumpkaboo in the discard. I don't really care about using Pumpkaboo in this matchup. Makes it too difficult to hit those numbers. So Trainers Mail, get that Puzzle of Time. Don't really know if I need it right now, but I've already got the knockout here, I'm pretty sure. I'm just kind of counting, but what I might want to do, honestly, is get another get another Night Marcher or something, just another attacker. But I think, yeah, if I use Puzzle of Time, I can actually get the Marshadow and a VS Seeker for next turn. So I can actually win the game next turn if he doesn't have the N. And I don't think he had it in his discard because he opted to use Chorus. So we might actually win this turn, or next turn I should say. So I'm going to retreat out. I think I've got 8 in the discard. So 8 with a Choice Band is enough to take out the Darkrai GX. I get a Night Marcher off of that, so that's not bad if I need a Juniper. So we are in just fantastic shape here. He can't really do a whole lot unless he's playing like Xerosic or some Enhanced Hammers or anything to kind of disrupt me. I think I pretty much win the game. He has to play an N. Enhanced Hammer would be great, but he plays a Guzma, so he's probably going to go for the Marshadow, which isn't a bad play in hindsight, but my Joltik is fully powered up. So let's see, I have 8 in the discard. So I mean, maybe if he had a Field Blower or a Startling Megaphone or something, that would help. That way he can get rid of the Choice Band, but I don't think he has it. If he goes for the Dark Cleave GX or whatever it's called, he'll get this knockout, but Joltik is going to respond back and win me the game. So we'll have to see what he does exactly. All right, he's going to use Dead End GX, so that's what it's called. But that's an instant knockout, but I've got 8 in the discard. Could discard more if I want to, but don't really need to. And there is the knockout. So as you can see, guys, Night March is incredibly strong, even against this Turbo Dark deck that was able to set up extremely quickly. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more expanded content, more event coverage, let me know. We are going to have the top 8 decks from Fort Wayne, including this one. We'll go over it a little bit more later this week once Pokemon has it on the website. But I've got a lot of stuff planned, a lot of stuff queued up for standard, expanded, a lot of discussion kind of videos like the A-Spec one and some other stuff as well. But let me know in the comments what kind of videos you want to see. But in the meantime, this has been Zach with Top Deck Nation. Hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile, and I'll catch you in the next video as always.